Welcome to video 3F and our last chapter 3 video. The only remaining video is one for the module 1 summary. So the good news is we're almost done. The even better news is this video is quite short. Let's get going. So one of the first limitations on tax planning is the business purpose doctrine, which basically says the IRS has the power to disallow business expenses for transactions that don't have a business purpose. The step transaction doctrine says the IRS has the power to collapse a series of transactions into one transaction to determine tax liability. So basically, if you go from point A to point B to point C, and that's a non-taxable transaction, but if you had gone from point A to point C, that would be taxable. The IRS can collapse that into point A to point C. Substance over form is exactly what it says. The IRS can look at the substance of a transaction as opposed to its legal form to make a determination. And within that is the economic substance doctrine. And under the economic substance doctrine, to be respected, a transaction must meet two criteria. It must meaningfully change a taxpayer's economic position, excluding any income tax effects. And number two, it must have a substantial purpose other than tax avoidance. And so number two really relates pretty strongly to the business purpose doctrine. So before you get too worked up about these doctrines, you should know there's a lot of overlap between them. If you were to draw the Venn diagrams, you'd see overlap between business purpose and economic substance for sure. Okay, one last thing before we finish out. I want to talk about the difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. So tax evasion is the willful attempt to defraud the government through tax reductions. Tax avoidance is the legal use of tax planning to lower taxes. And if you're concerned about that, think about the professional responsibilities we covered earlier in this module, those under Circular 230, Code Section 6694, and AICPA's SSTS. Because over and over again, courts have said that there's nothing sinister in so arranging one's affairs as to keep taxes as low as possible. Everybody does so, rich or poor, and all do right, for nobody owes any public duty to pay more than the law demands. Taxes are enforced exactions, not voluntary contributions. To demand more in the name of morals is mere cant. And again, that's the famous Judge Learned Hand, who we talked about earlier with the fruit and tree analogy. Okay. Well, that's the end of video 3F on the limitations on planning. Let's move on to the module summary. Thanks for watching.